I started it, by the way. So all racial slurs, please stop. Everyone, sit up straight, be appropriate. Can you just imagine that we just sit in a pre-call and we're just like throwing out all of them? No, it's not that really.
Good start, boys.
Good start. I'm Frostgrin. I'm going to be your host. With me, my three lovely panelists, our LSPL expert, going to be Razzleplasm right below me. Next to him is going to be Drexen. Drexen, I always want to call you the historical expert. Like, a lot of people give that to Kelsey, but I always want to give it to you. Sorry, Kelsey. Take a seat. And then, of course, on top of that,
I have no point.
That's a bold claim.
it's a bold
Every
statement.
episode, it's like, Kelsey, bam! Kelsey, every episode, it's just...
I'm less the historian and more like the OG. I was like the one white dude watching China
the
like 2
original
years ago,
gangster.
live.
I always want to try to get these narratives going, like, through rumors. Like, this is what I wish. We all have these rumors about, like, roster changes that keep happening, but I want to start, like, a rumor mill for, like, esports personalities. Like, did you guys know that Thorin and Monty are actually together?
Oh,
Oof, I didn't even know that was
I
out
thought that
yet.
was you and Thorin.
But see, that's what I'm saying. There's, like, these different
No,
narratives
that's not a rumor, though.
that can go alongside
Yeah, that's
each other.
actually true.
And I want people to be convinced that Kelsey and I secretly hate each other. Which, for all
Secretly?
they know... Yeah, actually, clearly hate each other.
I mean, it's pretty public on the show. Okay, so
Someone's gonna make a compilation of Frost bitching Kelsey out one of these episodes.
Kelsey,
One
shut
of
the
these-
fuck
It's just
no,
gonna be like an
okay.
hour-long segment. It's gonna be great.
It's probably happened. Okay. We're doing kind of a special show. Don't know how long it's going to run. It should probably be a little bit condensed because we're not going to do... Normally we like to go into, like, specific games, talk about things. We'll talk about the TP-Smite Shyvana. Don't worry, we will cover it. But kind of the big overarching thing that I wanted to talk about today is bracketology. And what the fuck does that word mean? So it means that we're going to talk about the playoff brackets for the upcoming LPL season. So, confirm... What is the format for the upcoming playoffs?
So until very recently, we were told that the format would be best of 5 double elimination. But recently, there was a change announced, and Sanshao, EDG's manager, confirmed that it's actually going to be single elimination best of 5.
Okay. What are the immediate consequences and differences between a best of, like, a double elim versus a single elim tournament?
No second chances.
Thank you, Raz.
And also,
It's almost like this is scripted.
Oh.
no, I mean, but it also is like a little bit more daunting for certain teams, like where they're standing in the regular season and where they're seeded into the playoffs too.
I'm so glad that you said that, because now we segue to just, like, break this down and make it very, very clear. So it's a single elimination best of 5 tournament. Do we know for sure what the seeding is as far as how they're matching up in the brackets?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we do.
excellent. So what is it? Tell me the top half of the bracket, not the teams, just give me the seeds.
First versus 8th and 4th versus 5th is on the top half.
Okay. And then bottom half is?
Second versus
Third.
7.
7-2-6-3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we know those seeds...
I can math.
Yeah.
What are the shittiest seeds to have?
Under the assumption that Edward Gaming is far and away the best team in China, and that they will just immediately eliminate any opposition, and that the 2nd through 6th seeds are very close, and you have, like, pretty good chances amongst those teams, the worst possible seeds to have are going to be 8th, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we
Get
know...
the hell out of that bracket side, people. Evacuate.
Yeah.
Now that
We're
we
throwing
know-
out our mid-ribbons now!
Now that we know that the 8th, 4th, and 5th seed are pretty much instant death because they will face EDG since it's single elimination, there will be no second chances, now we get to attach the teams that currently have those seeds. So if LPL were to end, which, again, it hasn't ended yet, but if it were to end immediately right now, who would be the unlucky 3 teams?
Vici, Invictus, and King. Or no, Masters 3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. King has to lose another game, right? Or
Yeah.
another two
Well,
games.
King has one more set, Master
Yeah.
3 has 2
So
more
if they,
set.
okay, right, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So now here comes the question. So obviously, Vici Gaming, Invictus Gaming are pretty much fucked, like, if they retain this seed. So their options are to either move up into the 3rd seed or to move down into the 6th seed, yes?
Yep.
So
That's all. Moving up is the only option for Vici. Moving down is the only option for IG. Yeah.
So how do they do this? Let's start with Invictus Gaming. Like, what needs to happen in the next 2 weeks for them to secure the best possible seed going into playoffs? And who are their remaining opponents?
Well, for Invictus Gaming, they go up against LGD, which is gonna be the funny match.
Because LGD has the magical 6th place seed where they
And they
missed
just
VG.
barely.
Yes.
They just barely have 6th place because they have 27 points and IG has 28 points. And IG has 2 more matches and LGD has 3 more matches.
So, just to make this really obvious, we're going to be having 2 teams face each other who both want to lose because A, they want to retain the fact that they're lower seeded or they're lower in the standings, and then the other team wants to throw even harder because they want to have that worse seeded spot. Yes?
Yes. It's
Yes.
a really awkward situation.
But thankfully...
At least the first set with IG versus Starhorn Royal Club, it won't be so awkward in that they can kind of troll, and Starhorn Royal Club's actually playing really well. They're playing
Seriously, yeah.
they're playing, so they can get away with that. But the real awkward one is LGD versus IG because it's like, how do we do this?
Yeah, and it was also already really awkward when Invictus Gaming faced King, right? Like,
Yeah,
sure,
it was
King
so awkward.
Sure, King played a little bit better, but like Invictus Gaming, oh my god, they overcommitted on everything, and it was just bad.
There was a time where Sky just straight up solo killed Z-Tai, and Z-Tai was just laughing his ass off on the camera. I'm like, wow, that's not strange or anything.
This
Yeah,
is
it's-
settled.
Yeah. So it's really that bad.
It's not like these teams can just purposely throw, though. It's not like they can just FF at 20. There are rules in place within the league that I'm sure are very heavily enforced and very strict.
Very strict.
Very strict.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we brought up Starhorn Royal Club. So obviously Starhorn was not one of those names. On the very cusp of making playoffs as Masters 3, which is why they got the shitty seed of 8th. Now, what does Starhorn... Now, okay, so out of the 4 bottom teams, you've got Energy Pacemaker, GAMT, World Elite, or excuse me, WE, and Starhorn Royal Club. And it's... GAMT and Energy Pacemaker, they're done. They can't make the playoffs at all. It's pretty much over and out for them. What are the win conditions for World Elite, WE, and Starhorn Royal Club to beat out GAMT for the shit slot of 8th?
Well, I don't know.
To beat up Master 3.
Yeah, Master 3.
Did I say GAMT?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
That's
yeah.
okay.
Fuck GAMT, Master 3.
For World Elite, they need to be able to beat GAMT, which is like, that's going to be a little easy.
Yeah,
but
they
Who
have
has
to
been able to
2-0
2-0 GAMT?
they have to 2-0 GAMT. And I think they also have to rely on M3 to lose their sets.
Yeah, M3 can't... So if Master 3 gets 2 more points, then WE is just done, because Master 3 owns the head-to-head. So Master 3 faces Energy Pacemaker and BG Gaming. If they go 1-1 with those 2 teams, or if they 2-0 either of them, then WE is done.
Yeah.
So the
And
chances
so-
are...
It's really, really slim for World Elite. In
Yeah.
fact, I don't even want to think about it, because it's like, how is M3 not going to take a single game off
But
of
here's
Energy
the thing.
Pacemakers?
We always talk about how, like, the chances are really
Well,
slim and
if they
everything has
just
to
take
align.
one game off WE, then Master 3 can
Yeah, but think
still
about
be
it
Yeah.
this way. Okay, yeah, this sounds like crazy. You know, people will look at this and be like, there's no way this is going to happen. It's not possible. Think of how World Elite missed the playoffs last year. Think of everything that had to align to it come down. Like, if you guys don't remember, it came down between LGD and World Elite. And World
yeah.
Elite lost the spot due to time. The how quickly or how long it took
For
them to
me-
complete a game.
For me, the more ridiculous example is IG making the playoffs in spring last year, because like LGD was facing the bottom seed team, and Invictus Gaming was facing the top seed team in the last week, and LGD had the higher seed at that time, and LGD lost a game to Positive Energy, who only won like 6 games that entire split when they played
And then IG
Twitch
split.
Jungle.
Twitch.
And then
Yeah.
IG won a game against OMG because they were subbing Cool in for the last week when Cool hadn't played a
They
competitive game
played
for
Italy.
months. Yeah. So, Like, that one is more ridiculous to me.
Okay, so we have
But
like
this
2
stuff
years.
happens, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
back to back. And this is kind of why I really love the circuit point system in LPL, because it does give a lot of power to the bottom tier teams to fuck over the mid tier and even top tier teams as far as standings are concerned. I love the point system. Okay, so World Elite, it's slim. We've kind of outlined their conditions. Starhorn Royal Club. I mean, they do have a bonus by that they're facing. I just
They're
threw
facing
my
2
pen,
teams.
like across the desk.
Starhorn
your
Royal
pen.
Club has the same amount of points as WE, but they're facing 2 teams instead of just 1.
Yeah, not to mention their hard matchups too.
And they own the head-to-heads with Master 3 and King, so they just have to tie in points. So they have a slight advantage in that, whereas WE would have to have more points than Master 3 and King.
I lost my pen.
I come with the opinion that I kind of expect Starhorn Royal Club to make it into the playoffs in Master 3 seeding, because Vici was looking to win. Like, they're the top seeded team, one of the top seeded teams they want to get higher. Like, they actually have that motivation. And I don't see M3 like taking game off of them.
Have you looked into Dade's eyes? Because that guy's mad right now.
Yeah.
Vici Gaming Vici Gaming can't fall to 6. Like, they don't have that luxury. Because they decided at the end of the split to try hard and improve their standings, they're getting screwed, effectively.
Yeah.
So Vici Gaming's only option now is making 3rd, because LGD took a game off of them with a completely ridiculous composition. So now they have to probably 2-0 EDG and Master 3 if they want 3rd seed. So that's kind of where they are, and they're going to be trying really hard. Obviously, that means that'll make things a bit more difficult for Master 3, whereas Starhorn faces Invictus Gaming, and if Invictus Gaming can throw so hard against King, they can probably throw just as hard against Starhorn. The problem comes down to the fact that Starhorn also faces Snake, and Master 3 faces Energy Pacemaker.
Yep.
But Kelsey, the analysts say that Snake was never meant to be a good team, and now we finally made it to the end of the season. So, I'm glad that we brought up Snake, that it's going to come down to this game. What are your guys' final thoughts on Snake? How did they do? Like, because we said, if you go back to the very first episode for China Talk for this upcoming split, we ranked the teams, and we put Snake dead last. And so now, we're going to have our moment, reconcile with each other. What the fuck happened? I got you, Rez. I see you.
It's all the shitty analysts. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Analysts, quotation marks. No, but no, seriously,
That's
I do.
0.5.
I mean, okay, okay, but like, all right, yeah.
Okay.
Snake did better than everyone performed. I think we've admitted to that before. Like they're just straight up better
No,
than.
I want the apology.
But no.
I apologize to nobody.
Analysts failed to foresee that there would be a massive patch change that
Hey,
extremely buffs
they've been
Snake's
dominant
playstyle.
before the patch change. So what the hell happened? Why did we project them to be a shitty team?
They are very good at executing their style, and
Also
other
have-
teams didn't have a style laid down until the start. Like, good job, Snake, excellent. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
they have a very clear identity. They've executed it well. I don't think they have any star players still. I don't see any of their players except potentially Ella making the top 4 in their position.
Oh wow, you're gonna get so bad right now.
Blasted.
And I already made it a video detailing that.
MVP
so,
points to
I mean,
who?
it doesn't really even matter. But the point is that they were able to have this style where they execute these team fights in the blue buff area above Dragon, and they do this really well, like every single time. And then the style got buffed because tanks are in favor, so there are so many more champions that they can suddenly play in this style. Like Beast can play Gragas now, which works into the same theme of the AoE zoning of Nunu, Jarvan,
Do you think Flandre is a top?
all this good stuff.
top
for a
four
top laner? No.
Who would you put above
I
him?
don't. I would put probably like if we're going
Flame and Acorn, is that who you're picking?
IG and
I would
LT's
even
Arsenal
put Carrie.
period.
Like I would even say Carrie is performing better than Flandre. Like
Yes.
I think that if
Hello?
Flandre
Flandre ran in and 1v4'd on Trundle, and Crystal got a triple kill.
if Flandre were allowed to play his preferred style, this could be a better debate. But given the type of style they've been putting him on, like he's just middle of the pack.
The worst thing about Flandre, and that she's right about it, is that his own team like dicks him. So it worked. Like he comes out of the lanes, he comes out of 2v1s in a worse position, and he has to be able to play from that. And honestly, on tanks, he doesn't play up, like he doesn't overperform in a worse position. Like it looks bad for him. And I think he's a really good top laner, but he just gets dicked on his team. It's like the same situation that I see Dyrus on TSM.
Yeah.
It's like I want to say he's a good player, but a lot of people will say otherwise because you know what? Like he's put in a bad position and he doesn't like overperform to make up for it.
What? Are we watching the same
I think
player?
I'd even say like Amazing J maybe could be above him.
Well,
like
yeah.
it's
What?
I don't think he's a bad player, and I think if given
Frost gets
and
so confused. She's like, "Wait a minute! I thought
if-
everyone was on my
What?
side."
I do think highly of Flandre, and I think if the team like changed their style so that he could show his high points, like he would
shows
be
his
more
high
appropriate in
points
this
in
debate.
the current meta. Like I understand that his style is supposed to be that weird, he was known for like the fizz top shit
No,
like that,
I think that he performs to like a certain standard, but I don't think that his consistency is of the same level or that he is as strong in zoning as like when you talk about zoning players, you have Cora 1 to stand against. Like Going's teamfight zoning has traditionally been very good. Acorn's teamfight zoning is really, really strong. So like even within his style, there are people who perform that type of play style better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also with Snake, like, okay,
Analysts.
firstly, the reason why I won't apologize is because we had very valid reasons at the beginning of the season why they wouldn't do well because of how they played in LSPL versus LPL, which oddly enough, even though
And the
Flandre does get,
offseason.
even the off season where King and Snake should have theoretically been switched based on off season performance in the rankings right now, basically. But like the thing is we talked about it in a previous episode how Snake was very good at this, but had this one-dimensional playstyle and got away with so many of their comfort picks for so long and whatnot to the point where once people started catching on, they were able to develop enough strategy or enough proficiency against weaker teams with varying it up a little bit to maintain their position. Not to mention, I mean, not to take anything away from Snake since they are number 2 right now, but number 2 wouldn't have happened if OMG didn't basically do what they've done and slump ridiculously hard to the point where people are calling out Going, which I still have conflicts about, but also because of OMG playing things that are completely unfamiliar to themselves. So you have Snake against OMG, who are really close for second place, but one of them has been tryharding the entire season and has been allowed to play to their strength, while OMG has had to play like really uncomfortable stuff that doesn't like really work for their playstyle or never has historically.
Are you saying that predicting the super team of Going, Loveling, Cool, Uzi, and Cloud was impossible to predict from the beginning of the series, that they would slump like this and purposely choose champions that they were shitty at to supplement Snake's performance into the second place spot?
It was all a
I don't ever
scam, dude.
think I said it was impossible to predict. In fact, I think
I'm
I've
just
been very
asking,
hard on
like,
that.
you're the
Honestly-
Chinese experts and you guys done fucked up. Snakes and
Are we experts or are we analysts?
We're analysts. We're not
We're
experts. No, but yeah. The thing is Uzi being on the team threw off the chemistry completely. For one, and then for two, they're obviously trying new things to work around that. But and you can tell it's uncomfortable. I mean, they're still not a bad team, but that would be why Snake is second and OMG is third. So.
And I do have one thing I want to say about Snake. Like, maybe a miniature apology, because I remember looking back at my own comments in which I said
Apology.
It's always gonna be Raz. Raz always has to succeed.
But, like-
mm.
it comes to what I initially said about the players that were coming to take over the former player's place. Reborn and Colin. And I always said I did not like the one, I didn't give a fuck about Reborn. Like, that was the one thing I didn't care about, because
I'm
I
gonna
felt
apologize to Snake, but I don't give a fuck about that guy. Fuck you, fuck you,
Reborn.
fuck you. You're awesome. Fuck you.
like, I think that Reborn style fit Flandre better, sure, but I just felt like he had like 2 champions, and he
What? Snake has a problem where they had a former member that only played 2 champions? And now that they've fixed that problem, they're suddenly super successful.
That being said, Ella.
Oh baby.
Oh, baby.
That being said,
3 points
Ella
to
has
Gryffindor.
I'm taking points from all of you. Okay.
Yeah, Ella has been an amazing player, probably like top 3, top 4 in his position. I'm always so close to saying her position just because of the name, Jesus. But anyways, his position. And Ella's been amazing in that regard because of his ability. I almost did it right there too.
No, you did.
A little bit. But yeah, to be able to protect
those people that gets really mad when fucking Rek'Sai is called out as a he. Are you like one of those people?
I am not, but I am.
Now it's a she, damn it.
That was an awful what was the word I'm going to use? Yeah, interpretation of me. That was
Impression,
awful.
there we go.
Impression,
What?
thank you.
There we go. See, I have that problem too.
I wasn't aware I was doing a Frost impression, but okay.
You did
Oh,
like
and,
the weird nose thing, too.
Yeah, Ella is solid, and at the same time, I think whoever is the coach, like
What are we
the coaching
even
staff
talking
of
about?
Snake,
He's
the
talking about
coaching
Snake.
staff,
This is an apology to
the coaching
Snake.
staff of Snake. I don't know what they did, but they structured that team so damn well. It was like in preseason, that was a team
It
that
has a
like
name.
what's the name again?
June.
June. Thank you, June. Thank you for doing what you did. Because honestly, that team, what they had the similar playstyle, but they just had Flandre on some bullshit champions that were like, they could just like take down. Like honestly, every single time it was like, all right, so he's on a split push champion. Oh my god, we haven't seen this one before. There aren't a million VODs of this one. Let's just. I don't know where I'm going with that. I just think that right now they're a lot better.
Support structure makes a difference. That's why
Mm-hmm.
Detonation Focus Me is the #1 team in Japan right now. It's because they have the CEO manager of Starhorn Royal Club. That's the difference.
Wait, really?
Wow.
Yeah, but that was entirely sarcasm. I didn't mean that at all. The
Oh,
reason
okay.
Detonation Focus Me is the better team is because they just...
Like
haven't
the only
seen that
thing you could
argument?
maybe argue is that guy got Udapong. Like he signed Udapong. Like he's like, we're gonna give this guy a better salary. Like this is gonna happen. But that's like the only possible argument. Anyway, this is not Japan talk. This is
I could talk about Japan, though.
Every day is Japan talk.
I
all
love
right.
Japan.
okay, it's Japan talk. Stuff.
Right. Bracketology.
We were
Oh,
talking about
baby.
bracketology.
So we had our topic where we went around Snake. We do have to come back to them because we're going to talk about Shyvana, but I don't want to like detour us too much there. We talked about the really shitty seeds. So 8th, 4th, and 5th, how they belong to Masters 3, Invictus Gaming, Vichy Gaming. We talked about the win conditions for World Elite Starhorn Royal Club to make it into the playoffs, to beat Masters 3 out of that 8th place seed. We talked about IG's incentive and Vichy's incentive to try to go for the 6th and 3rd place seed.
Third.
And that LGD currently owns the 6th place seed, and how IG and LGD will be facing off against each other. With all of the information that we have, let's make some predictions. So, okay. Top of the bracket is who? It's 1st versus 8th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then
And
4th versus 5th?
Fifth. Yep.
Okay. Who do we think?
I'm just waiting for King
Let's-
to like 2-0 Gamty, and then LGD to just bomb all of their remaining series so that they have 7th place.
Okay, no.
This is
We're
what
gonna
I'm looking
predict.
for.
We have the chance to redeem ourselves as the real Chinese experts. We're going to predict what the playoff bracket will look like for LPL. And I swear to God, every single one of you will be judged on your immediate accuracy.
I
in
don't.
this.
Oh,
This is
baby.
impossible. We're not gonna do this.
No,
this is so
this is-
stupid.
Go, Kelsey.
None of these
Kelsey.
teams are. So we're going to base our bracket prediction off of how hard like these teams
Kelsey?
can sandbag. What,
Oh, this is gonna be the highlight
or
video that I was talking about.
LGD going to surrender at 20 faster? Like which of those can do it? Like what are Dandy's surrender at 20 reflexes? I don't think no, not Dandy. Cacao surrender at 20 reflexes. Like I don't think that's in his programming. He's gonna be like, can't push the button, can't do it.
Here's my prediction. Here's my prediction on how it's gonna come down between LGD and IG. It's gonna be basically KX Happy versus ADG, where it's just gonna be some random fight. A team will lose, and they're like, "We'll just surrender. let's just surrender immediately. We have a chance to win, but it looks he doesn't look that bad.
Only in the LSPL expert could have taken like the game with probably the two teams that the Western fans actually care about, and then immediately gone to like the two teams that no one understands or cares about. He's like making this like that's not normally how metaphors or analogies work. Like typically you take things that are pop culture references, but he's like, no, this team that you've never heard of or ever watched in your life. It's exactly like that moment. Good job, Raz.
Pat myself on the back. Job well done.
Speaking of LSPL, okay, no.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get
Oh,
it
yeah,
started.
we're going on
No, I'm serious.
Bracketology.
Make your guys' predictions. EDG
Oh.
is going to be facing
I'm
who?
not predicting.
I'm doing it.
Kelsey, you have to
Uh,
predict. Is it going to be Masters 3
not
or Starhorn
predicting.
Wild Club? Or
I think it's
will
going to be
we-
Masters 3.
Okay, she says Masters 3. We got to vote. What do you guys say, Drex and Raz?
I'm gonna have to agree because even if Starhorn Royal Club were to, I don't know, I feel like they don't have the right mindset still, and they're throwing Name and horrible champions, aka Lucian. Not because they're a bad
His
champion,
Lucian
but because
has
it's
been really good. What are you
Dude,
talking about?
he got fucking crushed this week on
Raz?
Lucian. It was like a feed fest.
There is a correct answer
That's
here.
been every single champion except for, like, in his set against WE at Demacia Cup, Lucian was his only good champion because he took it away from
Okay,
Mystic.
Raz says Starhorn Royal Club. I'm gonna wait his vote. He counts for 3. You guys count for 1. So 2 to 3. Starhorn Royal Club versus EDG. That's how the analysts do it.
She just really, as an analyst, she just really wants Starhorn Royal Club to succeed. As
How are you
an
gonna feel?
analyst.
How are you gonna feel if Godlike plays in the playoffs?
Oh
and that
my
Can's gonna be
God.
irrelevant.
That's called pulling an OMG, and Starhorn Royal Club typically doesn't do that.
I don't
Okay.
know.
No, they just sandbagged through the entire spring season
Yeah,
instead.
exactly.
There's some consistency there.
4th versus 5th. Who's it gonna be?
Okay, let me
Come
look
on.
at this.
This is easy. We've already got EDG versus Starhorn Royal Club in our top part of the bracket.
I think it's
How do we have EDG versus Starhorn?
I'm gonna go with
because the cola can, dude.
Yeah,
I
his
guess
vote counted for more.
that's it.
He say Starhorn?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I have this-
Yeah, he lifted a
I
cola
understand that you don't have a webcam. Do you not have eyes?
I just lost respect for Raz as an analyst.
What are you doing?
Wow.
No, I do think it's going to be Masters 3. And then for 4th and 5th, I could actually see it being Vici and LGD because I think IG can do convincing enough throws to drop. But that
Okay.
is going to be so... That's still like a claim that's like really hard to actually put logic behind, though, because it's literally who can like act better at
I
being...
think this team is going to be more convincing in their throws so they avoid a fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, LGD, you have to understand here that LGD is the smarter team.
top
I
part
know,
of the
they're
bracket is
pretty-
going to be EDG versus Masters 3, and then Vici Gaming versus LGD, yeah?
I'm gonna put down Vici versus IG because even
IG,
though
sorry. That's what I meant, actually,
Okay,
because I
okay.
think LG, since LG is a smarter team, I think they're better at creating a ploy in where they,
there we go.
I
throw
think,
You
convincingly.
mean they'll just immediately insta-lock Ash or Misfortune and throw, like,
I
maybe a
think-
Galio in there? Or...
Maybe they
And
haven't
then
been
people
too...
will be like, they keep
Sorry.
ruining Flame's record on Shyvana. Like, he didn't insta-lock that champion because he just wanted to play it.
I think it'll be Vici versus... You know what? I'm gonna do this.
Oh,
I think it's going to be... Can I do this? Can I really?
you can do it.
She's looking at her
She's
match,
like,
she's like, how
"Stop."
can I crunch OMG to bar? Is it even
gonna-
possible?
It's not that bad. Like, I mean, yeah, okay, I can't. I'm not gonna do it.
No, I'm gonna pull my greatest
You were
Thorn
trying to
impression.
get fucking...
I'm gonna go all in. I'm
Bring
not
it.
gonna go all in.
Come on, come
okay.
into the minefield.
I'm
Come
gonna
into the
say
minefield.
What are you doing with your
LGD
face?
versus-
That's supposed to be my red beard.
That's
my Thorn
not what
impression.
that looks like.
Come into the
Okay.
minefield, yes.
LGD. I think it's
What?
gonna be LGD over IG, and I think it's gonna be LGD because LGD plays more sets,
Okay.
and so it's gonna be harder for them to like
Mhm.
sandbag it.
Raz, you're
So
actually the
hard.
tiebreaker here. He says
That's actually
IG,
true.
she says LGD. What do you say?
IG's taking 5th.
You think it's gonna be Vici versus IG?
Yeah. And the reason for that is because even though Invictus Gaming wants to be subtle in how they throw out a game, LGD is shameless. They don't give a fuck. They'll throw in Flame up there. They'll like pick Bard a second time, maybe Bard jungle. You
Let's
never
be
know. what
real.
you're
We
gonna
know that LGD is gonna throw because they're gonna start Schwinn. He's gonna be on the field, so it's already done.
do. There we go. There, right from the
Right.
beginning, week 1. That's what they had to do.
Oh
And
baby!
Wayless doesn't even have to pretend that he's picking random stuff to throw because he does that anyway, so we're good.
What, you're saying
Okay.
Riven's not in his... Okay. Bottom side of the bracket. What are our seeds?
I do think that there is somewhat of a chance that it will be OMG, though. I don't
No,
know.
it's gonna be, we've already said, EDG
Cool.
versus Masters 3, Vici Gaming versus IG.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
bottom side of the bracket. Who's it gonna be? Come on,
Good
quick
old-
guys, quick.
2-7, that's gonna be Snake and King.
Okay.
Snake versus King, baby.
What?
I'm ready.
Hello?
What?
Hello?
Yeah, I guess that would be interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Snake
It
versus
is
That's-
Snake
King?
versus
That's
King.
assuming
Like,
7
right
doesn't
now, that's
fluctuate
what
at
it
all.
is.
But that is, yeah, I know.
Okay.
And then it's
But-
King is in a pretty good spot. They have 4 more points than Master 3 right now,
Oh, this is right. Okay, I see.
and they face.
Oh yeah,
KFC,
because
so they're
because of their
pretty
IG
decent.
match.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
the playoff brackets, by announced and foreseen by us, are going to be EDG versus Masters 3, Vici Gaming versus Invictus Gaming, Snake versus King, and then LGD versus OMG.
Yeah,
That's
here's
what we're
the whole
saying.
thing, we're
Okay.
wrong on all of this, like we were with Snake at the beginning of the season.
And it's really unfortunate because I do
It's-
think the top 3 teams are probably EDG, Vici Gaming, and IG right now.
Yeah.
And
So
they're all in the top part of that
debating
bracket.
on how hard OMG is sandbagging.
So Hell is the top bracket, and Heaven is the bottom bracket.
If you made it to the bottom bracket, you can coast. You're good.
Okay, so now we're going
Life
to take
is
it
good.
one step further because this is our prediction episode, even though we're sure to do this many times again. I just really don't want to talk about those games. Who is going to... It was just... I was doing the incoming aggression with Thorin, and, you know, I'm, like, thinking like a logical person. I'm like, okay, this is how these teams match up, and these are the styles that these teams has shown. It completely over my head that, oh,
Yeah.
right, I'm an LPL. All of these teams are about to throw purposely.
And Monty was on Twitter, like, so excited for the Vici Gaming versus LGD series.
Oh,
He
you
was like,
fool.
the rotations were a lie. It was a lie.
Yeah.
Because in theory, Vici Gaming and LGD are, like, the smartest teams in terms of how they, like, the Monty-esque style.
Mhm.
So,
But this is where we get to have fun. So in a perfect world, we're in playoffs. This is where every team Super Saiyans up. They're ready to go. LGD versus OMG. Who the fuck is winning? Let's go. Best of 5. OMG. Training weights are coming off. They've been, you know, saying supposedly we've been playing awful the entire season. Now it's time to not play awful. LGD. Same pretty much thing that's been happening to them. I have no idea.
I want to say LGD.
this is, like, the hardest prediction to make because
Yeah.
both of these teams have been goofing off so, like, probably the hardest of any
Okay,
other
well let's talk
team.
about the skill ceiling then of both of these teams. Does LGD have a higher skill ceiling than OMG?
OMG does.
Strategically, maybe. Not individually.
Considering,
But
yeah,
again,
considering individual players.
uh,
I mean,
don't know, it's
TPQ is
really
on
close.
LGD.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
always-
the main
always
problem. Like,
been
leveling trumps him, but then I don't know, Going versus Acorn and Going's current state. But then again, you know, they have a shitty jungler in LGD, so that's also something to consider because that's like a big part of why Going's been struggling. So is people
The
can't
thing
believe TPQ
there
stupid.
is-
So
I have several theories on why. So the prominent theory by the Chinese community, who like it's very critical of Going right now because OMG always does this thing where they should, in theory, be the best team because they always have all this talent. So the Chinese community likes to fixate on, and I'm sure there are Western fans of OMG who do this. It's just that like there aren't as many of them.
You're the only
Um,
Western fan of OMG.
Where they decide that they want to fixate on one single player on the roster. For 2 years, it has been San. Okay? San has been the target. The community has begged for them to replace San with UZI for like 2 years straight. It finally happens. OMG has perhaps like one of their worst splits in terms of where they ended up in the standings because they've always placed top 2
Oh
and now we're
god,
predicting
third
that
place. Ah, we're going
Oh,
downhill.
God.
boys.
I know.
for regular
Someone
season, that
asked-
is an all-time low for them, though. I mean, they're always
that is
beasts
an
in regular
all-time low.
season, so it's kind of weird.
Oh god, we've fallen.
But-
The fall of Rome.
Now the new target is Going, and the new request on the OMG fan page is replace him with Amazing J. That is the
Holy
new.
shit.
That is the new replace San with UZI. Is replace Going with Amazing J. Thoughts?
That's retarded. No, okay. I mean,
Whoa.
just I think
Whoa.
saying that
I got a
going is
clickbait
the
title
problem.
for this. Drexen
no.
calls Chinese community retarded.
Oh
fuck.
God, please no.
Oh my.
Put that in
Nope.
quotations. Attach China Talk video episode
Actually-
41, even though we're episode 39. Put it on
This is
Reddit.
This is actually a convenient discussion because, like, the Amazing J thing, just because OMG went against Energy Pacemaker this weekend, and even though Going, like, looked kind of, like, not very good, like, if you actually look at what happened, it's, like, ridiculous. Like, there's nothing he could have done in those situations. Like, it's like, okay, well, I can't remember if it was game 1 or game 2. I'm trying to think here.
Game 1 is the one they lost.
What I'm trying to think, there was a game where, like, okay, I was like reading my Twitter and seeing people like bitch out going, but like, okay, like I think Amazing J was on Irelia and got first blood, and had red immediately at level 1 in the lane, as in Irelia versus Gnar, which is just already not a favorable matchup.
Already, yeah.
Yeah,
So that was
and-
game 2, by the way.
And so there's no way he's winning that lane. But he doesn't even try to fight Amazing J. He actually teleports right away to the bottom lane and assists his team with a kill while waiting for the red buff to time out. And then he goes back, and then he's down in CS because, like, yeah, sure, he's the only one that lost his lane out of all those lanes. Like, everybody else was ridiculously far ahead in every other position. But the situation that he was put in was something that you can't really do anything about, and I saw him getting a lot of flack for that game, and I have no idea why, because as soon as team fights came around, he did everything he needed to do. He'd, like, Gnar ult, he'd, like, flash in and, like, knock someone back, he'd just do everything he needed to do, but on lower resource. Like, so yeah, you can say when you put less focus on the top lane and let go on his own island, he's not gonna, like, look as impressive, but he still does his job. People just put going on this pedestal, and since he's so expected to do so well because of Worlds and prior performances, people automatically assume that if he looks mediocre, he's really bad instead of just mediocre. And given the situation where he's camped and all this other shit going on, like, contextually, it's and with resources being pulled away from him because of the way OMG plays, and is trying to push towards Uzi, and have him having to adapt to that, like, you honestly, like, okay, sure, Going's adapting, and he may be worse than he used to be. Perhaps he's slumping, but it's nowhere near as ridiculous and exaggerated as people are making hyperboles about. It's just retarded.
And the other issue that I have with the Going thing is that people have always said that Going is a carry-style top laner, but where I've seen Going have his advantages are in the way he uses his lane gains. So I always think of him as more of a utility map pressure style top laner. The reason why I think about this is because I think he roams more towards the mid laner and will do ganks like this. And maybe, yeah, he does really well with, like, the ignites, but he often, like, his strength is in taking leveling and cool and, like, doing jungle invades and just spreading this kind of wealth. And this is why my thing is that if you gank UZI, the advantage is going to stay in the lane. If you gank Going or Cool, they will roam with that advantage and they will put it in other lanes. That's like my main issue with where the jungle focus is on OMG right now.
And when they were topping regular seasons in the prior years, that's exactly what they did. They were just like a roaming trio, top half of the map, while, like, their bottom lane was just stable, you know? So it's like that's one of the things. They're playing completely different to their strengths. And now that they're not doing that, Going's going to look like other top laners that are just left to, like, rot essentially and do what he needs to do. Like, he's not gonna, like, you can't just expect someone, you can't take away half of someone's resources and then wonder why they're doing half as well. It's just dumb.
Okay. LGD versus OMG.
I'll go OMG.
I was gonna say you better, because we're right on top of Going for the last 5 minutes.
I mean,
Just like,
I want to. Yeah,
we
I
had
do
this
want
big
to say
speech,
OMG,
LGD.
but- no, I do want to say OMG, but
It really comes
depends.
to
this is like the
Yeah.
hardest one to predict, for sure, I think.
Yeah.
You think LGD and OMG are the closest to when we have Vici versus IG?
I wouldn't even necessarily say they're the closest. I would say that they're, like, probably their playoffs performances are going to be the most different from the regular season performances of any other
Yeah.
See,
team that we've
that's an
seen.
interesting point.
And it's really important to realize that in a double brackets, like, what is it called again? Losers bracket situation. It works really well with OMG because they're a team that,
Adapts.
yeah, they adapt really well. They make mistakes the first time around quite often, actually. And so they're a team that's really reliant on adapting, and at the same time they do adapt. So if LGD takes them out, it's kind of like you have to bet on that. Not so much bet on it, but you have to really recognize that situation. And at the same time, if OMG's fucked, that's the round that they're gonna get destroyed in right out immediately. The first round, quarterfinals. If they're gonna come out through the playoffs, it's either gonna be in like on that set, or, in my opinion, finals. Well,
Okay.
actually, they're gonna be again. They're
I
on
would
the
say-
fucking wrong side of the bracket.
I think OMG does better in a best of 5 situation than LGD, and I think the reason is that LGD will come out with this surprising, like, seem to prepare less strategies per face-off, at least in the regular season, and this might change, but if they come out with something, and they do really well with it, the enemy team will, like, ban out the Diana or the Cho'Gath or whatever they're using, and then they'll lose their second game. So more often than not, LGD will lose their second games, whereas OMG will like play stupidly against a strategy. So if they're against a team like LGD that tries a strategy twice in a row, which they have been known to do in the past, then OMG will do like really terribly against it in game 1, but then they'll adapt more effectively in game 2. It's like they have to play against the strategy, completely misread it, and fail to figure out what they need to do. So OMG is a team that's most likely to lose their game 1. So it's going to really hinge on, and win their game 2. So it's going to really hinge on whether or not LGD can prepare like 5 strategies completely different strategies going into this matchup against OMG. I do think OMG does adapt. People underrate like the fact that they come out with this fast push in their second games, or they play this hard engage comp against Snake's like long range poke strategy that they tried to run against OMG twice in a row. So I think that is
Kelsey.
what it's going to come down to.
Yes
And
or
I am
no?
going to pick.
Holy shit.
No, everybody, get out of here, man.
I'm
Get
gonna pick OMG. I
There we
guess.
go. There we go.
Okay. She
I
says OMG,
appreciated
he says
that.
OMG, you say LGD. Drexen, what's your call?
I say OMG.
Okay, OMG moves
reasons
on.
I said.
Snake versus King.
I really, I want to believe in like just off-season
Wouldn't
King,
it be
but
so
no.
excellent if King just came out and beat them, though?
Wouldn't it be great if King won playoffs?
Oh,
That
my
would just be my
God.
favorite thing.
That would be hilarious.
Uh,
It was funny because King was playing more of, like, in the IG set, obviously, like, there was a huge factor, and I think IG probably would have won those games if they were, like, playing more seriously.
I thought I was
But-
high watching that because of how fed MLXG got. I was like,
thought I was high
something's not
watching
right here.
that.
But King
Shut up.
played the same. But King played like much more towards their off-season strategy in terms of like everyone go to the bottom lane, everyone like do these group freight train roams and make more plays early. And that's much more what King did effectively in the off-season that made them a strong team. And then of course the argument or the supposition that they've been screwing over their early game to try to improve their late game decision making. If that's what they've been doing, it's completely not worked at all because their late game decision making still sucks and they tried to throw really hard, but IG was trying to throw harder. So
Kelsey,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't-
such a
that's
monumental
much-
lead and didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
So
I don't need
I
to
can't see him doing well in playoffs there.
an Odyssey before your decisions. Snake versus King. Who's gonna
I
win?
think that both of these teams are buffed by the patch though. So that's the interesting thing. But I do think
Okay. Oh, thank you.
I want to say, I'm just
The
gonna
only
say
time
Snake.
that I need an Odyssey is when you're gonna say King. If you're gonna say Snake, I don't need the Odyssey. It's obvious. Snake.
I'm just saying that this could be like a little bit closer than a 3-game closeout, but yeah, I think it's Snake has a bigger advantage for
Jackson?
sure.
I think King could take a game, but yeah, Snake's definitely going to take the set because even if King does get really far ahead, they still look fucking clueless. Even in a game, even against a trolling, well, I should say trolling IG, they almost didn't close out a game that they were ridiculously far ahead, and so yeah, that's not going to work in playoffs against Snake, I don't think. And just because of how Snake plays, like getting ahead of Snake early isn't really a big deal anyway, assuming they get the compositions that they're best at. So
Yeah.
Snake doesn't care if you get ahead
I think
against
this.
them early.
I think this is going to be one of those sets where if you watch and you have the untrained eye, like the games are going to like look deceptively close, but they're actually not going to be close whatsoever.
Snake will just
Yeah.
play some scaling composition, and King will be like even with them, and like, hey, we're even with them in the 30-minute mark. Wait a minute, a team fight's about to start. It's like,
So
Oh
I do
god,
think
we
King's
wandered into the
team
blue buff
fighting has
area.
improved. Like, it's not like their team fighting is bad, it's just that their decision making sucks.
yeah,
Okay.
they're just it's
Snake
shit.
versus OMG.
Hmm.
OMG.
Not Snake versus. Oh, we're really doing Snake versus OMG. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Assuming
what I
that,
said.
yeah, the ones that won got to the next stage of the bracket, yeah.
Who is facing? This is the question. Is it going to be Snake versus
I just
EDG or OMG versus
hate-
EDG? Because this is
I
what we're
hate
testing.
doing predictions for OMG because, like,
Me too.
I just hate doing predictions for OMG in general because they always have that, like, weird factor where they're towards the end and then they decide they don't know how to play and then.
Well, we are the analysts, so you gotta be able to get through that. So, come on.
10 points to Slytherin.
Snake.
Get it? Slytherin?
Oh,
Snake.
really, Snake?
I'm gonna
Okay.
go with Snake because I just think that the meta favors their style of play so much more. Like the
Yeah.
pick style that OMG always loves playing.
Mhm.
When they will have to play UZI's style to win. I think
Yeah.
is what I'm gonna say. Like
And
I
I
think
think
they're
OMG
going to have to do, and they have shown time and time again that when they try to play UZI style, it doesn't work for them. So
I also think that Uzi just hasn't been playing well recently. I mean, in their set, what was it? What set was it?
Uzi's not playing well in the normal season.
There's goddamn. Why can't I remember like anything? I think it was against Energy Pacemaker. They like lost the first two dragons because I think the first one Uzi just like randomly E'd into the dragon pit concave with no allies around like to finish off
Oh, that's
a
surprising.
Janna that was alting, and then just like straight up died and gave away the free dragon, and then like the same thing happened in the second dragon, and yeah, shit like that against teams in a playoff and not just a regular season is like not gonna fly, and that's just shit. That's just shit he does. That's why OMG looks like so like ununiform with him because he doesn't have anyone to pull him out of that shit anymore like he used to.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I did initially say OMG, but I'm probably gonna switch to Snake for that
Doing
because
Snake?
it comes
Well,
down to. I say this often with like friends of mine, but it's turning into a thing that I say where I just basically say, don't trust your crack addict friend with the money. It's like don't do it because
What?
you. It's
Don't.
don't do it.
this is related
It's-
somehow.
It is because.
Explain.
Because you have to be able to protect that money. You have to be able to rely on that money. And they give so much of their gold to UZI, and then he will randomly get caught out and it's just like, what are you doing with the
Okay.
gold that we gave you?
In
What are you
this
doing with that money?
analogy- UTI is the crack addict.
This is so bad. We're being so like UZI has had good games. I just
He's
want
had
to
it,
clarify.
but he's
Like
just
it's
inconsistent.
just this is the problem that I have with this swap is
Why
that
are
San
you
was like
trailing
this.
away from this? This was the best analogy that this show has
Consistent-
ever had.
San is like this consistent backbone, and now OMG doesn't have any consistent backbones. They're all just like random players. They'll like one of them will do well, and then the other one will do. And it's like they're hoping maybe that they have enough random factors that they can have like in any given game, one player will perform well. It's like yes, we got this.
Did it.
But when it's UZI, I don't like he has less of a carry potential just because he does keep his lead in his lane.
Mhm.
So, yeah. I mean, that's just the factor there.
Huh.
I will say that the one thing to consider in the OMG versus Snake match where OMG could have like an edge is obviously again they've come out and they've just like wrecked Snake after losing the first game both times, and it's been much more decisively in OMG's favor, and they have more talent in each of their lanes than Snake has in their lanes, so in theory OMG
No.
could play that type of style and be more effective, but I do think that the patch change is going to make this matchup much closer, and I think it will give Snake a slight edge.
Yeah.
Okay, so the analyst has spoken that it is going to be Snake. You know, despite the fact that OMG is the super team, historically always performs 10 times better in the playoffs than they do the regular season, has said that
That's not
they've been
even true.
experimenting in both times that they've played Snake, have smashed them. In
Nobody
second
said that about OMG.
It's-
People say that about EDG. EDG's regular season is usually okay, and then their
OMG
playoffs
still-
is amazing.
Yeah, you're right,
OMG,
kinda, like,
OMG
sucks
lost.
in playoffs.
OMG lost the 3-0 in like 30 minutes.
Just 20 minutes.
You
excuse
know
me,
because
it
you
was a
traveled
surrender.
for it.
OMG at least gets to that destination in the playoffs, even though they kind of have that really
Like,
rocky
we
ride.
made it, boys.
Oh.
Let's just
I think
kick
that
back and get some
OMG
dodgeball
levels up
games
for,
going in the finals.
Do you know how
OMG
awful it was?
levels up for like the quarterfinals and maybe the semifinals, but then they just like decide that they suck like towards the end. So it's really weird.
We went to San Francisco. We got all dressed up. We went out to dinner. We were in the Twitch studio. We did a rehearsal. We set up. It was go time. Kelsey was like, doing the replays for it. It was a shot at the two casters in a studio and then casting over the Chinese stream.
Oh, baby.
I know that's really sketch, and we would never expect that of the highest quality of broadcast.
Okay.
Zing!
So I do think this set will be pretty. I think this set will be a 5-game set, but I think that Snake will win.
Oh, I don't know if it'll be 5-game. Well, actually, yeah, I probably will because
Okay, hold on. Snake
Poser isn't the problem here. So yeah,
Snake wins. So are we saying for sure that this is going to be Snake versus EDG in the finals?
That's kind of what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, who wins?
Chao Gu wins out of all of this. Out of that. Chao Gu's the
Edward
real
King
winner.
We didn't do the other bracket. How do we know EDG is in the
other
finals,
bracket
Ryan?
doesn't
What?
We
matter.
really just gave it
we
all.
don't discuss why EDG's in the finals.
Didn't
What?
we already discuss in the
Okay.
first 45 minutes of the show how?
Well, then I think that question is like, is Snake or EDG going to win? Is as relevant as will Snake make it to the final? Will EDG make
we
it
needed
to the
to make
finals?
sure that EDG was going. Like, who were they going to be facing? Okay, Vici Gaming versus Invictus Gaming. Who wins?
That's the
This will
most
probably
interesting.
be the best
Ooh.
game out of the playoffs.
Yeah, actually, it will.
Which is really unfortunate that they got screwed by their bracket.
Yeah, that's so shitty. But it changed last minute when Beachy Gaming should have just slacked, man.
That's why I predicted LGD would be in the upper bracket.
If it was
Because
a
I-
double
oh,
elimination, okay, so we've now predicted that in our single elimination it's going to be Snake versus EDG. If it was a double elimination, would it have been Vici Gaming versus EDG or Invictus Gaming versus EDG? Or would OMG have come back?
We already said that OMG is going to lose to Snake, so
Yeah, but
I
that's in the
think that was-
single elim. I'm talking
Yeah,
about
if it was
our
double elimination.
fictional double elim.
I would.
well, we said in our even if we did fictional double, and we both said that OMG and Snake would advance, so they'd be in the upper bracket.
Did
and
we
then-
really say that?
I don't know, and then they would get knocked down to 1 by Snake, and then Snake probably would get knocked out by EDG, and so that means that they would knock out OMG again, or maybe OMG. Actually, if it were a double bracket scenario, I could see OMG beating Snake the second time.
Okay,
That's
so
weird.
double elim, how did the finals change? Who's in them?
I want to say EDG Vici. EDG Vici. Because I think Vici, yeah, they play more consistent. I can't even say that. I was about to say they
You
play
really
more
think
consistent.
Vici Gaming has the stamina in a best of 5 against some of these teams? Have you met their roster?
That's true.
Mm.
I mean, we
think
haven't-
That's my concern
games-
too.
It's Hutong.
When games go a little bit long, we see like Mata start to tilt really hard. So
Yeah.
like if games start to not go in their favor, I think that IG could have an edge. Like IG seems like
Vasily and Hutong. Like,
a happier and more well-adjusted team.
That's true.
like this is the test for Vici that they're going to be in a best of 5. In a best of 5, I would actually give the edge to Invictus.
Yeah,
So would I, especially if you tried to remove
She has
this
a good
week's
point.
IG games
Yeah.
from the equation, and you think about like their prior weeks, it's a little bit more likely that IG will take it.
Did not expect
also-
that one because it's so true, and I was like, wow. I didn't think
Oh my
of that
god,
one.
Freskren said something enlightening.
And the other thing is that Vici, I think, is like they're stylistically quite good, but their style is limited. It's like I think they're almost in a similar position to LGD and Snake, just because they have to play a certain way because they do have weak laners.
Mhm.
So I think that in a best of scenario, Invictus Gaming, as like a counter team, can adapt well and play like a wider variety of different things. And if something doesn't start to work initially, they'll change up what they're doing with their champion pool and everything else. So.
I can see
Yeah.
your guys' brains getting tired with this, so we can close it. We can move to the Shyvana Smite teleport. I don't know if you guys watched this thing called the NA LCS Playoffs. I think it was Gravity versus Impulse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always want to call
Yeah.
it Nips, but it's Tip.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for
And
you.
they pulled out the Shyvana Smite teleport with the Cinderhulk itemization. So
Which worked out really well in the early game because they 3-buffed Team Impulse. That was really fun. That was a fun adaptation.
but where
And
did
then-
this come from? How does it work? Why?
Well, Oh, Lord Flame. The idea of... Yeah, go on.
Flandra.
Flounder, yeah.
You know
Okay, I
that
forgot
guy that
about
you guys just like shit all over, and then you're like, but going, his resources were taken away.
Well, I think Flounder
Well,
works
no, I
really
do
well
it.
with
You know,
Shyvana.
Flaunder's just running in 1v5 as fucking Trundle, and Crystal's
is
gonna
the thing,
triple
though,
kill him
like,
against
given
MVP,
that-
but whatever, you know,
Given
go going.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Given
closer.
that Flandra's resources have been taken away and Going's resources have been taken away, Going is performing better in situations where he has like literally no recourse of action. So there you go. Flandra, the thing with Flandra playing this, and the reason why it worked the first time, because he played it twice and it didn't work the second time, is because, again, he has these resources stripped away. But the first time he played it, they played it against Gamty. He builds like the skirmishers, he takes teleport and smite, and he builds the Cinderhulk item.
Mhm.
And he starts with Gromp, so they do it on Gromp's side. It can also work on Krug's side, but I don't think it's as good.
It isn't.
Where you take the smite and you smite the Gromp, and you are able to clear minions in your lane, minions in the camps, like extremely fast. So by the end of the game, like in an ideal scenario, you have at least a 100 minion advantage if no one is like stopping you.
This sounds really familiar to a strategy that was really popular, where people would take Shyvana and Mundo, and do you guys remember this, where they would push the lane, and then they'd run into their jungle, and then they'd kill all the jungle creeps, and then they'd run back to their lane and not miss a beat? Huh.
And
That's
and it works
really
really well with
meta.
Shyvana.
That's
And
really
it works
interesting.
really well with Shyvana, because like the Cinderhulk health scaling and the fact that she gets free resistances, so she just like is unkillable.
She has a run fast button.
By
Yeah.
the way, this works really
Easier
well
not
with
to miss
Flounder's
any
style.
waves.
I think it works really well with Flounder's style because it's one of those. It comes back to how does Flounder want to play? He wants to be able to carry a game. And when they initially started, like when it was like week 1 of the LPL, they were like, okay, we're going to transition you onto Rumble. And I was like, okay, for a little, like, it kind of works.
And it's funny that Flandra looks so much better when he plays his original style.
Mhm.
The problem, though, is that, again, against the Master 3, like, what did they do? They warded the jungle, and then Dade just went and killed him repeatedly whenever he would try to farm,
Mhm.
because there are literally 0 resources for him on that side of the map, so... Yeah.
Okay.
It did not work well the second time.
So this is going to be not color dependent, but it does have more power on a certain colored side than the other one, just because the Gromp Smite is going to mean more due to the Gromp Smite buff versus Krug Smite. It's going to be dependent on champions that are able to push waves quickly, as well as have movement speed bonuses, so that they can quickly push a wave and then run down into the enemy jungle, or allied jungle, take camps, then run back in time. And it's going to be dependent on someone who's going to itemize the Cinderhulk because of how cost efficient it is. Yes, those are kind of the 3 qualifiers. So it doesn't have
And
to
obviously,
be limited
and with
to
that
Shyvana.
caveat, yeah, and with that caveat, benefit from health scaling. So, like, you could do Mundo. I could actually maybe even see Singed do it.
Mhm.
I actually think
Olaf,
Nocturne
man.
would be
Olaf.
decent with it.
Whew. This, yeah, it's...
Oh my god. I'm gonna have to try this with Sinjin Soloki like right
I'm
after
telling
this
you,
call.
Nocturne. Nocturne
Yeah.
top. You
Nocturne
laugh.
top.
Just wait.
What about the Rek'Sai?
Oh god.
Oh
Oh my
God.
god,
Going's
Going was
coming
just
back,
testing
boys.
for it. He's gonna
Go
okay,
Going.
this is what's gonna happen. Snake versus OMG. Going's gonna pull out the Rek'Sai top. He's gonna build the Cinderhulk, have Smite teleport. See, it's genius because it synergizes with the Rek'Sai ultimate and the teleport, so he's got like dual global positioning depending on where his fucking tunnels are. We figured it out.
Gogoing's just
Gogoing.
been like failing as a Rek'Sai player just so he can execute the strategy because he knew it was coming.
Oh, baby.
He's next leveled all of the top laners that hard.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So, does anyone else have anything to talk about?
Nope.
Oh,
Okay.
LSPL.
Here we go.
LSPL.
Oh yeah. LSPL playoffs will be ending like this week. You guys might not realize, but this week we will know 2 teams that will be in LPL next split.
Mm-hmm.
So
So if you want to see games of people teams actually trying, uh, yeah, and of course, so two teams that are
Don't get your hopes up too much.
yeah. Right now, tonight's gonna be losers bracket. Let me double check who's gonna
So
be playing that one.
the crummy ones.
Yeah, the crummy
Yeah.
one. I mean, KX Happy's in
Young Glory,
there.
man.
So
Young Glory's gonna ride his way back in the LPL. I know it. I don't know why I referred to it as like one person.
yeah.
It's
And
only
LSPL
a
He's gonna like come to the cape and win by himself.
LSPL has best of 3 double win. So
Yep.
Oh, they got the better tournament structure?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
They won out in that one.
Young Glory just has to beat
yeah,
this
tonight
team never heard of
KX
that
Happy
Scrambled
versus
Butters.
VG Gaming B. So
Now,
if you guys like Reris and Heart, yeah, look at that.
There we go.
And then Young Glory versus Legend Dragon. So if you like if you like Hong Kong players, you can watch Legend Dragon has Possum, Voidless, and then Young Glory has Illusion. Illusion still cares enough to play LSPL after getting benched by 4Kakao.
Even though he's still debatably one of the
Fiddle
weaker
six
players
his
on
way
that
back in
team.
the LPL, I believe.
I want
You
him
shut
to
your
stop.
mouth, Illusion.
okay. Shoutouts. Raz, go.
Thanks.
Okay.
But
Shout
then
outs.
the next day we'll know the finals will play. So
Yeah, tomorrow's. I just wanted to fit in that like we already know at least one of the teams going to be going in because the winner finals is Chaogu versus ADG. So you're going to be expecting either one, depending on who gets to the finals. One of these teams are going to be in the LPL. So, yeah, shout outs. I want to shout out to you, wonderful people. Yeah, Twitch chat as well. And I want to shout out to Retail Gaming. There we go.
Oh my god, are you getting paid?
No. I just.
So defensive, Raz.
Dang.
Like, no, of course
Nah.
not. It's like flipping money under the camera.
I will give a shout out to the Riot Oceanic casters for having to put
Oh, yeah.
up with the bullshit that happened this last
Oh
weekend, and
my
that is
God.
sure to happen in the upcoming weekend. Atlas, Tiberi,
no shout out to me. What?
Papa Smith, and Chase You Time. Those guys are troopers. Can you imagine the shit show that's going to be Invictus Gaming versus LGD, and they have to cast that with a straight face?
They just have to. Oh, it's a bot again. Yes, this one of the strategies.
No, really, these teams are really good. I swear. Like, this is the funny thing because playoffs are starting to ramp up, so more people are starting to watch LPL because they're like slightly
This
interested.
is their first
as,
What the fuck is
like,
this?
as MSI, and then I get so many people tweeting at me like, "This is awful. Like, these teams suck. This is
Why
so
is
bad.
Mata playing
Why are you
Tenet?
doing
He's
this?
washed up.
Man,
Why
they just
would you
don't know how to hold
honestly
on to
say
the
these
lead.
teams are good? Like, I don't. Okay. Yeah. So
Assault
good
is
job
real.
to them.
Troll games and sandbagging. Just remember that. If you actually want to watch some games, then you probably should have paid attention until the middle of the split, or you could just watch VODs. VODs are beautiful. They're wonderful things. You can actually pause them, so they're nice to watch. There we go.
If you're someone like
Yeah.
me that's
Shout
started
out to
watching
Fox.
LPL since it's like inception,
Mhm.
then these last 2 weeks are great because it's just like these last 2 weeks are like watching the entire 2013 spring and summer parts of LPL. It's like the entire thing in these last 2 weeks.
It's not just that too, but like we saw these crazy picks. Like this always happens toward the end of LPL.
Yeah.
Like even with
Maybe.
the weird tournament, without the weird tournament format, they just like they don't care because they're locked in. So that's what EDG is doing in particular. Yeah. So I'm going to do a shout out to people who cover LPL with me live for the score because they have to go through this as well, and that's going to be Jackie Yip. Jackie Yip does the data for the score, and then like Matt Demers and Sean Tepper are my editors. Also, Daniel Gonzalez does data and some of the GIF work.
And Drexen.
Yeah. And Drexen, why Drexen?
Wait, what do I
He
do?
doesn't
I don't do
No,
shit.
and Drexen for his shoutouts.
Oh,
also,
I was
have
like,
an
I don't
article-
do anything. What are you talking about?
I have an article coming out probably today or tomorrow, and my IG video probably coming out tomorrow.
Hype.
Hype.
Okay.
And Drexen.
Shout out to Kelsey Moser's videos. They're actually really good, but I think most people don't even bother clicking on them because they're like, why isn't this text? You have no idea how to be a personality. Please
What?
just type it out. God,
Why are you ugly?
what are you doing?
But then
why are you on
I'm
a
actually
camera?
got
Please
one
write it out.
question. Ask.fm, they're like, why are you so ugly? I try really hard. I put a lot of effort into this. Most
It's
people
the-
put makeup on. I make a point of, like, I just watch LPL and stay up all night watching LPL so that it ruins my face. And I
It's
have,
the
like,
culmination
bags.
of so much brain damage from watching LPL for so long. It just distorts you and your reality and your appearance and everything. It's just not good for you. It takes years off, you know. All right. So anyway, that was supposed to do shoutouts. Okay. So
No, that was a good one.
nope, that's it. I'm done.
Okay.
Shout out to Esports Heaven. because
They already
my
There we
know.
hand was-
They know I love them.
They already know.
They know there's
man,
love around here.
I'd be fired instantly if I was on a team. It's like just visit our website. You can read them there.
The winner of our contest was Razzleplasm, by the way.
What?
Yeah, you guys suck.
How?
I was slipping it in throughout the show, man.
He
I
got...
didn't
Yeah, but he had the
try.
super unenthusiastic old lady. Man, this is bullshit.
I got bored with it after a while, so like, because
No,
you guys
were
were
just
abusing it so hard.
non-creative. Okay, so Razzle came in 5. I did dock him one point because he did get very lazy on the end with one of his O babies. Drexen came in at 4, and Kelsey, you got 2.
Woo.
And with
Okay.
that, everyone wave. Come on,
So-
Drexen.
I am.
Okay, oh baby. I
Oh.
started it, by the way. So all racial slurs, please stop. Everyone, sit up straight, be appropriate. Can you
Alright.
just imagine that we just sit in a pre-call and we're just like throwing out all of them? No, it's not that, really.
Good start, boys.
Good start. I'm
Quality.
Frostgrin. I'm going to be your host. With me, my 3 lovely panelists, our LSPL expert, going to be Razzleplasm right below me. Next to him is going to be Drexen. Drexen, I always want to call you the historical expert. Like, a lot of people give that to Kelsey, but I always want to give it to you. Sorry, Kelsey. Take a seat. And then, of course, on top
Okay.
of
I
that,
have no
That's a
point
That's a bold
in
claim.
life.
it's a bold
Every
statement.
episode, it's like Kelsey, bam, Kelsey. Every episode, it's just.
I'm less the historian and more like the OG. I was
I-
like the one white dude
the-
watching China
the
like 2
original
years ago
gangster.
live.
I always want to try to get these narratives going, like through rumors. Like, this is what I wish. We all have these rumors about like roster changes that keep happening, but I want to start like a rumor mill for like esports personalities. Like, did you guys know that Thorin and Monty are actually together?
Oh,
Oof,
my.
I didn't even know that
I
was
thought
out
that
yet.
was you and Thorin.
But see, that's what I'm saying. There's like these different
No,
narratives
that's not a rumor though.
that can go
Yeah,
alongside
that's
each other.
actually true.
And I want people to be convinced that Kelsey and I secretly hate each other. Which, for all
Secretly?
they know, yeah, actually, clearly hate each other.
I mean, it's pretty public on the show. Okay, so
Someone's gonna make a compilation of Frost bitching Kelsey out one of these episodes.
Kelsey,
One
shut
of
the
these-
Just,
fuck
it's gonna be like an hour-long segment. It's gonna be great.
It's probably happened. Okay. We're doing kind of a special show. Don't know how long it's going to run. It should probably be a little bit condensed because we're not going to do... Normally we like to go into, like, specific games, talk about things. We'll talk about the TP-Smite Shyvana. Don't worry, we will cover it. But kind of the big overarching thing that I wanted to talk about today is bracketology. And what the fuck does that word mean? So it means that we're going to talk about the playoff brackets for the upcoming LPL season. So, confirm... What is the format for the upcoming playoffs?
So, until very recently, we were told that the format would be best of 5 double elimination. But recently, there was a change announced, and Sanshao, EDG's manager, confirmed that it's actually going to be single elimination best of 5.
Okay. What are the immediate consequences and differences between a best of, like, a double elim versus a single elim tournament?
No second chances.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Raz.
And also,
It's almost like this is scripted.
Oh,
no, I mean, but it also is like a little bit more daunting for certain teams, like where they're standing in the regular season and where they're seeded into the playoffs too.
I'm
So-
so glad that you said that, because now we segue to just like break this down and make it very, very clear. So it's a single elimination best of 5 tournament. Do we know for sure what the seeding is as far as how they're matching up in the brackets?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we do.
excellent. So what is it? Tell me the top half of the bracket, not the teams. Just give me the seeds.
First versus 8th and 4th versus 5th is on the top half.
Okay, and then bottom half is
Second versus
Third.
seventh.
7-2-6-3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we know those seeds,
I can math.
Yeah.
What are the shittiest seeds to have?
Under the assumption that Edward Gaming is far and away the best team in China, and that they will just immediately eliminate any opposition, and that the second through sixth seeds are very close, and you have like pretty good chances amongst those teams, the worst possible seeds to have are going to be 8th, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we
Get
know...
the hell out of that bracket side, people. Evacuate.
Yeah.
Now that
We're
we
throwing
know-
out our mid-ribbons now!
Now that we know that the 8th, 4th, and 5th seed are pretty much instant death because they will face EDG since it's single elimination, there will be no second chances, now we get to attach the teams that currently have those seeds. So if LPL were to end, which again it hasn't ended yet, but if it were to end immediately right now, who would be the unlucky 3 teams?
Vici, Invictus, and King. Or no, Masters 3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. King has to lose another game, right? Or
Yeah.
another two
Well,
games.
King has
Think.
one more set, Master
Yeah.
3 has 2
So
more
if they-
sets.
Okay, right, okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so now here comes the question.
Invictus Gaming was facing the top seed team in the last week, and LGD has had the higher seed at that time. And LGD lost a game to Positive Energy, who only won like 6 games that entire split when they played
And then IG
Twitch
split.
Jungle.
Twitch.
And then
Yeah.
IG won a game against OMG because they were subbing Cool in for the last week when Cool hadn't played a
They
competitive game
played
for
Italy.
months. Yeah. So, like, that one is more ridiculous to me.
Okay, so we have
But
like
this
2
stuff
years.
happens, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
back to back. And this is kind of why I really love the circuit point system in LPL, because it does give a lot of power to the bottom tier teams to fuck over the mid tier and even top tier teams as far as standings are concerned. I love the point
Yep.
system. Okay, so World Elite, it's slim. We've kind of outlined their conditions. Starhorn Royal Club. I mean, they do have a bonus by that they're facing. I just
They're
threw
facing
my
2
pen,
teams.
like across the desk.
Through your
Starhorn
pen.
Club has the same amount of points as WE, but they're facing 2 teams instead of just 1.
Yeah, not to mention their hard matchups too.
And they own the head-to-heads with Master 3 and King, so they just have to tie in points. So
Right.
they have a slight advantage in that, whereas WE would have to have more points than Master 3 and King.
I lost my pen.
I come with the opinion that I kind of expect Starhorn Royal Club to make it into the playoffs in Master 3 seeding, because Vici was looking to win. Like, they're the top seeded team, one of the top seeded teams that they want to get higher. Like, they actually have that motivation. And I don't see M3 like taking game off of
Yeah,
them.
Have you
Vici-
looked into Dade's eyes? Because that guy's mad right now.
Yeah.
Vici Gaming Vici Gaming can't fall to 6. Like, they don't have that luxury. Because they decided at the end of the split to try hard and improve their standings, they're getting screwed, effectively.
Yeah.
So Vici Gaming's only option now is making 3rd, because LGD took a game off of them with a completely ridiculous composition. So now they have to probably 2-0 EDG and Master 3 if they want 3rd seed. So that
So obviously, Vici Gaming, Invictus Gaming are pretty much fucked, like if they retain this seed. So their options are to either move up into the 3rd seed or to move down into the 6th seed, yes?
Yep.
So
that's all. Moving up is the only option for Vici. Moving down is the only option for IG. Yeah.
So how do they do this? Let's start with Invictus Gaming. Like, what needs to happen in the next 2 weeks for them to secure the best possible seed going into playoffs? And who are their remaining opponents?
Well, for Invictus Gaming to go up against LGD, which is gonna be the funny match.
Because LGD has the magical 6th place seed where they
And they
missed
just
EDG.
barely.
Yes.
They just barely have 6th place because they have 27 points and IG has 28 points. And IG has 2 more matches and LGD has 3 more matches.
So, just to make this really obvious, we're going to be having 2 teams face each other who both want to lose because A, they want to retain the fact that they're lower seeded or they're lower in the standings, and then the other team wants to throw even harder because they want to have that worse seeded spot. Yes?
Yes, it's
Yes.
a really awkward situation.
But thankfully,
At least the first set with IG versus Starhorn Royal Club, they can. It won't be so awkward in that they can kind of troll, and Starhorn Royal Club's actually playing really. Well, they're playing
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, they're playing. So they can get away with that. But the real awkward one is LGD versus IG because it's like, how do we do this? like, like.
Yeah, and it was also already really awkward when Invictus Gaming faced King, right? Like,
Yeah,
sure,
it was
King
so awkward.
Sure, King played a little bit better, but like Invictus Gaming, oh my god, they overcommitted on everything, and it was just bad.
There was a time where Sky just straight up solo killed Z-Tai, and Z-Tai was just laughing his ass off on the camera. I'm like, wow, that's not strange or anything.
This
Yeah.
is subtle.
Yeah. So it's really that bad.
It's not like these teams can just purposely throw, though. It's not like they can just FF at 20. There are rules in place within the league that I'm sure are very heavily enforced and very strict.
Very strict.
Very strict.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we brought up Starhorn Royal Club. So obviously Starhorn was not one of those names. On the very cusp of making playoffs as Masters 3, which is why they got the shitty seed of 8th. Now, what does Starhorn... Now, okay, so out of the 4 bottom teams, you've got Energy Pacemaker, GAMT, World Elite, or excuse me, WE, and Starhorn Royal Club. And it's... GAMT and Energy Pacemaker, they're done. They can't make the playoffs at all. It's pretty much over and out for them. What are the win conditions for World Elite, WE, and Starhorn Royal Club to beat out GAMT for the shit slot of 8th?
Well, I don't know.
To beat up Master 3.
Yeah, Master 3.
Did I say GAMT?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
okay.
Fuck GAMT, Master 3.
For World Elite, they need to be able to beat GAMT, which is like, that's going to be a little easy.
Yeah,
but
they
Who
have
has
to
been able to
2-0
2-0 GAMT?
they have to 2-0 GAMT. And I think they also have to rely on M3 to lose their sets.
Yeah, M3 can't... So if Master 3 gets 2 more points, then WE is just done, because Master 3 owns the head-to-head. So Master 3 faces Energy Pacemaker and BG Gaming. If they go 1-1 with those 2 teams, or if they 2-0 either of them, then WE is done.
Yeah.
So the
And
chances
so-
are...
It's really, really slim for World Elite. In
Yeah.
fact, I don't even want to think about it because it's like, how is M3 not going to take a single game off
But
of
here's the
Energy
thing, we
Pacemakers?
always talk about how, like, the chances are really
Well,
slim and
if they
everything
just
has to
take
align.
one game off WE, then Master 3 can
Yeah, but think
still
about it
be-
this way. Okay, yeah, this sounds like crazy. You know, people will look at this and be like, there's no way this is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Think of how World Elite missed the playoffs last year. Think of everything that had to align to it come down, like, if you guys don't remember, it came down between LGD and World Elite. And World
yeah.
Elite lost the spot due to time. How quickly or how long it took
For
them to
me-
complete a game.
For me, the more ridiculous example is IG making the playoffs in spring last year, because like LGD was facing the bottom seed team, and